Alright guys, this is 6.1b converting standard form to vertex form. So in order to convert something that's in standard form, so ax squared plus bx plus c, and we want to change that over to vertex form, ax minus h squared plus k. Okay, if we're going to do that, we have to complete the square. So when we completed the square before, we were doing it while we were solving equations. So I showed you guys, okay, if you had ax squared plus bx plus c was equal to some number, I told you guys to move that c over, okay, and that was equal to some other number. And then you guys did the b over 2 quantity squared, and you added it to both sides. So you had ax squared plus bx plus b over 2 squared on both sides, whatever number that was, plus b over 2 squared. Okay, so in order to complete the square of a function, an expression that's not equal to a number, instead of moving the c over like we did in this part right here, and then adding b over 2 on this side, we're just going to keep the c on the same side, and then instead of adding the b over 2 squared, we're going to subtract it. So essentially it's the same thing, except now we don't have an equal sign. We're not going to move it over that way or bring it back this way. It's just going to stay where it is, because all we're doing is adding, 0. Okay, because b over 2 squared minus b over 2 squared is 0. So we're not changing the equation. So this is just a review. If you're confused, it's because you haven't gone over the completing the square, probably. So let me know. Okay, so let's do an example. So we're going to convert this expression to vertex form. So we're going to go ahead and complete the square. So first we have a is equal to 1, b equal to 12, c equal to 37. So let's just go ahead and find our b over 2 squared. Okay, so we have 12 over 2 squared, which is 6 over 2 squared, which is just 36. So we're going to go ahead and set up our expression, x squared plus 12x, and then just like you would add the b over 2 before, you're going to do the same thing, except now you're going to subtract it on the right hand side over here. So minus b over 2 squared. So we have plus 36 and then minus 36 on this side. So we're actually going to split this up. Remember, when we complete the square, we're actually factoring this part. Okay, but instead of factoring it, and I went over this in the completing the square videos, what you're going to do is just go straight to the skeleton. Remember, your skeleton is x plus b over 2 quantity squared. Okay, so that's what we're going to do here. We're going to go straight to the skeleton. So we have x as our variable, b over 2 is 6, so we have x plus 6 quantity squared, and then 37 minus 36 is positive 1. Okay, and that's all we're doing. This is f of x, and there you go. It's in vertex form. Okay, from here, you see that a is equal to 1. Okay, it's still 1. So your, you don't have any compression or stretch there. It's going to open upwards. Your vertex is the point hk. Okay, so h here is 6, so we have negative 6, positive 1. Our axis of symmetry is the vertical line x equals negative 6. You know that your domain is always x belongs to all real numbers. Your range here, because it opens up, and your vertex is at negative 6, 1. You've got this here. Okay. Your range is from positive 1 to infinity. And that's it. All right, so if you are confused, you may want to go back and review your notes or the videos for completing the square. Come see me. I have one more example. Alright guys, so here's our second example. Take note here because a is not equal to 2. So when we do this, we want to be careful not to just divide everything by 2 to get rid of it, because we are trying to put it in vertex form. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to split up our equation here. So we have this. Remember, we are going to complete the square of this first half. Okay, so just like before, we need to get rid of that 2. So we're going to divide everything by 2, and then it's going to come out to the front when we rewrite it. The 2 can't just disappear. It has to go somewhere. So it's going to be over here, just like we're taking out the GCF. So negative x over 2 is negative 1/2 x minus 6. So what's going to happen now when we complete our square is the left side is going to be the same, right? You're going to add your b over 2 squared. Okay, that's going to go there. But on the right hand side, okay, we are now going to subtract a times b over 2. Okay, so instead of just doing the b over 2 squared, it's going to be a times b over 2 quantity squared. Because we're multiplying by this 2 over here, so we also have to multiply it over here. So let's go ahead and figure out what that's going to be. So our b now is negative 1/2. b is equal to negative 1 over 2. So b over 2 quantity squared is negative 1/2 over 2 squared, which is negative 1 over 4 squared, which is positive 1 over 16. Okay. So then we're just going to go ahead and plug it in here. 1 over 16 there. And now this is actually 2 times 1 over 16 here. So I'm just going to go ahead and simplify. I'm going to go straight to the skeleton from here. So I have 2 times x minus 1 over 4 quantity squared. And then I still have negative 6 minus 2 over 16. Okay, 2 times 1 over 16 is 2 over 16. Then we're going to go ahead and simplify further. So we have negative 6 minus 2 over 16, which is 1 over 8. Make sure you leave them in a fraction. Well, I mean, I guess you don't have to, but it's nicer that way. Minus 49 over 8. Okay, and this is all f of x. Okay, so for here we have our function in vertex form. We have our a, okay, which is 2. Okay, so a is 2, which means it's going to open up. It's going to have a compression. Our vertex is going to be the point positive 1 over 4 and negative 49 over 8. Axis of symmetry, x is equal to 1 over 4. We know our y-intercept just because of the original equation being in standard form. And then, you know, your domain is all real numbers, and your range is a minimum from negative 49 over 8 to infinity, because it opens upwards. Okay, hope this helps. If you have any questions, shoot me a message, an email, or ask me tomorrow in class.